Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to give it a couple minutes to let people join, and then I'll get started. Oops. All right. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Anna Kaplan, Graycliff's Executive Director. And tonight I am going to orient you to a very exciting project now underway at our historic sites. I will give a brief intro, and then we'll hear from some of our project partners on the design side and also the construction side. Of course, we're talking about our brand new visitor center. And before I can continue, I have to thank the entities that made this possible. We received significant support from New York State, from the Dormitory Authority, as well as Empire State Development, New York State Council on the Arts, and the New York Power Authority. And I'd like to give a special thanks to New York State Senator Sean Ryan, who secured the funding from the Dormitory Authority. Also, we received significant funding from Erie County. So thank you to the Erie County legislator and especially John J. Mills. We received a lot of private funding as well, including generous donations from the Walter E. Schmid Family Foundation, the Margaret L. Wendt Foundation, Thomas Hagen, East Hill Foundation, and the M&T Charitable Foundation. And a special shout out also to M&T Bank, who is providing the financing on the project, which is essential to allow this to happen. And thanks to our talented design and construction team, again, some of whom will be speaking tonight. HHL Architects is the architect of record, and they collaborated with SITU Studio based in Brooklyn. They're the design architect. Bayer Landscape Architecture is responsible for all the natural elements to the design. And you can see the other part of our team here. LeChase Construction is the general contractor on the project. And tonight we're fortunate to have Matt Meier from HHL Architects, as well as Basar Girit from SITU, and Joe Akel from LeChase. So we broke ground on this exciting project in early November. And here's our staff, very excited to throw that first shovel of dirt. This is a really exciting time for our organization with lots of big changes. For those that you are not aware, and I see there's a typo on here, it should be 2026, but Graycliff was designed in 1926 by Frank Lloyd Wright for the Martin family. We are the summer home, with their urban residence being on Girit, and which is now also publicly accessible, the Martin House. So what's incredibly exciting about this project and the timing is that now that we're underway, we fully expect to open our new facilities to the public in time for the centennial anniversary of the project, or of the property, in 2026. So we are, for all intents and purposes, now fully restored. This is an image of the interior of our main house that, thanks to New York State funding, was opened, fully restored to the public in 2019. The landscape has also been revitalized, with the last piece of that project wrapping up in the summer of 2022, where you see a Wright design stone bench and then the historic photo to the right. And this kind of completed the landscape piece of our restoration. What you're looking at here is our current facilities. This is our current visitor welcome pavilion. It is not very pretty, and I often like to call it out on tours that I give, because I think that it is a little startling that this is the first impression at a site that is devoted to design and aesthetics. But this building has a very important history tied with our site, which I just want to cover briefly for you. In this photo, you can see what the property looked like when the Graycliff Conservancy took ownership in the late 90s. We at the Graycliff Conservancy are just the third owners of the site. After the Martin family vacated in the early 1940s, the site sat vacant for several years, and then a group of Pierist fathers purchased the site in 1950, 51. And they used it for their various needs, including building several additional edifices. So you can see the water here. Buried in all this foliage are the Wright designed original historic structures. And then the fathers built these other buildings, including this building in the foreground, which was repurposed in the early 2000s to be our current visitor center. The fathers made several changes to the property. On the left, you can see the restored, or sorry, on the bottom are the restored images. And on the top, you know, are what Graycliff Conservancy inherited in the late 90s. So it's a little confusing that image, it looks like a chapel. That's because they enclosed this exterior part of the design, and they made it an interior space to suit their needs. So our restoration journey has been quite long, and it took the effort and the generosity of many individuals. And this was an important piece of it. We were really grateful to be using this building. I personally am very conscious of this being the last standing physical evidence of the father's time on the property. They were on the site for almost 50 years, so the longest standing owners of the property, and they knew its importance, and they're the reason that we're here today. But that being said, we've grown out of these facilities. This is the interior, which many of you may have experienced at some point. Not only is this our visitor welcome area, it's also our retail shop, which is a really important earned revenue stream for us. Back here were staff offices. This was amenities. This was where we were beginning our tours. And it just no longer is able to support us in the way that we need. One thing that is majorly lacking here is any sort of flexible space for programming. Right now, we are open year round, but we are very limited by what we can do in terms of programming, because there isn't any interior space. So that brings us to this really essential project for a brand new and proper, well-designed and functional visitor center. This first project, which is a major project, and it includes the entirety of the building itself, as well as strategic site work, is actually phase 1. Phase 2 will involve the entire 6 acres of the property that's yet to be addressed, and that includes the approach as well as restoration of these historic natural assets. The Martins enjoyed an orchard on this part of the property, as well as wildflower fields and a vegetable garden. And so I just wanted to mention how this fits into our larger vision. We really want this to feel welcoming and not only be a dynamic cultural center, but also almost like a park-like atmosphere where people can have a more casual experience with the property. So next, in a minute, I'm going to pass it over to our colleagues. But I do want to mention that even amid construction, we are going to be continuing to give tours of the historic houses. We've been closed from November, and we will continue to be closed until March 6th. The reason why we did that is because we wanted to allow for major disruptive activity to happen so that we could get off on the best foot possible in terms of construction. But we are very excited to welcome guests back on March 6th, with booking now available online through May. And we're setting up temporary welcome provisions in the garage area of what we call the Foster House. So things might be a little different, but the historic main house is fully accessible, and we have an excellent group of very talented docents who are ready to greet you. So without further ado, first I'm going to pass this over to Matt Meier from HHL.
Great. Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Anna. I'm Matt Meier. As Anna said, I'm one of the owners of Hamilton Houston Lawney Architects. We go by HHL Architects. We're a Buffalo-based firm that has been around since 1969. And we're proud to have had a sort of a legacy of addressing a lot of the historic properties within Western New York, including the restoration of the Darwin Martin House, and the first restoration task here at Graycliff, which was restoring a little heat hut when the Conservancy first took over. So back in 2018, the Conservancy put out an RFP, a request for proposal for design services, and we saw this project and thought this was pretty interesting and important, and wanted to take maybe a little different approach to what we would normally do and what we have been doing over the last 5 decades. And we decided to, excuse me, team up with some new and talented firms and also some familiar firms. So the first one we teamed up with was SITU. They learned about the RFP and reached out to us and said, hey, what do you guys think about maybe teaming up to try to pursue this? And we like the fact that they are not only a design studio, but they fabricate, they get involved in other social aspects of things across the world. And so it's a real interesting firm that fits, we thought, real nicely with the sort of the historic preservation and cultural design firm that we've developed over the years. And then the other key part that we brought in was Bear Landscape. Bear was the firm that was selected to restore the grounds at the Darwin Martin House. We worked very closely with them at that point in time and thought that based on their experience with historic landscapes, not only at the Martin House, but elsewhere across New York State, that the three of us would make a great core team. So our approach was, let's look at this differently. Let's try to come up with some clever ideas and different approaches to make this a real important and valued asset for the historic site that didn't compete with the benefit of the historic house, because obviously people come there for the house and the grounds. So the challenge was, how do we make it flexible and open and welcoming, but different? So I think Basar and his team, teaming up with myself and our team, really created a pretty special building that achieves that end. So I guess I can have Basar maybe jump into how we started and how we came up with the solution we did. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Anna. Yeah, so my name is Basar Girit. I'm founder of SITU, and yeah, as Matt mentioned, we do a variety of things, but our kind of a lot of our architectural work is public in nature. We're always trying to find new uses for public spaces that are, serving a diverse communities, and trying to find new types of programming. Essentially, social impact. We want to find more interesting uses that can serve communities. So this was a great opportunity both to design a visitor center, but also think about how how Graycliff can become a destination for the broader region. So I'll walk you through the design and how we got there. So this was kind of our core goals way in the beginning when we were competing for this project in 2018. And the three core principles that we wanted to achieve here, the first one being a destination with a wide range of programming, as has been discussed. It's a visitor center, but what else can it do? Host events, create a place to wander in the landscape, and potentially serve uses that are not necessarily focused on the Graycliff house itself, but could also become host broader experiences. So of course, flexibility is a core to that. We wanted to create a landscape and a building that could have movable furniture and have the kind of spaces that could support these different sorts of activities. And then connection to nature was the third goal, being a Frank Lloyd Wright designed property house. That's part of his entire design ethos, is integrating interior and exterior. And the landscape design of the original project was so important for this house in particular, that we wanted to really carry that forward and use some of those elements that really emphasized natural materials and connection to this landscape. And so, as Anna said, beyond the visitor center, you can see to the lower left here, we did develop a whole landscape scheme along with our landscape architect Meier, that takes it out to Lakeshore Road. And so this is, the kind of treatment of this whole landscape is to support outdoor activities, picnics, nature tours, and potentially, things like farmers markets or other kinds of activities that can happen in this landscape. And so the building itself, you can see in the center here, it's sort of camouflaged. It's very much trying to be nestled within the landscape and not compete with the historic house that Wright designed in the rear. The concept for the building itself is pretty simple. You can see on the left the existing building that Anna showed, the concrete block building. Besides just recognizing the contribution of the fathers to this site, it's also a great opportunity to utilize the structure. And, you know, we had a very good base in that building. So this is really an adaptive reuse project. We're not demolishing and losing all of that useful material, but trying to creatively reuse it. And it's a good foundation and a good structure that's supporting the rest of the building. The new pavilion itself, the concept is this wooden ceiling surface that is effectively cantilevering off of the existing building, and it kind of flares up as it goes to the outside, to sort of invite the outside in. The inside and outside, there's a lot of glass separating it, which you'll see in a moment, again, to kind of connect the inside and outside. And that's also reinforced by the ground surface, which is the material of the interior floor and the outside terrace, which is a good, a big component of the design. It's all the same material, so we're really trying to blend the inside and outside with the project. The materials, as I said, the concrete, there's a different treatment to the inside and outside. One is polished and one is more coarse exposed aggregate, but it's the same substance, just finished a different way. We have a lot of wood in the ceiling, as well as in the kind of furniture elements throughout. And then the board-formed concrete for the walls. So they're concrete walls, but they're formed with wood formwork, so you really get a sense of the wood grain in the wall material. And so this view is the main sort of public outdoor corner, you could say. You can see the terrace in the front here, which will have outdoor seating. And then this glazed corner where you can see the main sort of activity space on the inside. And over to the right is you can see down to the home grounds and the Graycliff house. The main kind of interior flow, this line here is showing the entrance. You enter from the south into a vestibule, which will have a kind of donor wall recognizing the major funders for the project within this vestibule. You turn right and then enter what we're calling the sort of lobby cafe space. So this is the main multi-purpose space, which on a typical day will have cafe seating, tables and chairs. Right in the center is the reception area, which is we'll sort of direct visitors either to the right to get to the exhibition space, and where we'll have the interpretive material on the walls and the kind of material focused on the Graycliff history, and that's where the tours will start, which then go north through this door and off to the right. But visitors can also go straight across into the gift shop, which will also have a cafe, a sort of grab-and-go coffee station. And then off to the left down a corridor, it takes you to the restrooms, as well as on the lower left is a kind of staff area, a new lounge, as well as new offices for the Graycliff staff. So this is that main approach from the parking lot as you're coming into the entrance to the building. Some of these views are a bit older. There's things that have changed, but generally this is sort of what you'll see, this wooden roof surface that's sort of lifting up towards you, and then the concrete wall here. And then again, this is that corner. You could see the sort of main public space on the inside, and the gift shop over to the center right in the rear. So you can see the material of the ground is continuous, and this kind of major ceiling, wood ceiling that's going from inside to outside. And this part of the project will have 2 double doors, so that in the nice weather those can be opened, and then the idea is to try to create have the outdoor seating and the indoor seating both available to visitors. So there's a real kind of seamless flow between the two. This is a view of the main exhibit space. So you can see there's some of the exhibition material on the walls. To the right, there will be a sort of introduction video playing about the Graycliff property. And then there's a large glass wall facing north, so it'll provide this really amazing view of the Graycliff house as well as the lake beyond. So this is sort of a really important starting point for the tours there, where the docents will be able to kind of show the building and talk about it before going through the door here to the north and then start the tour. And finally, the couple of views of the gift shop. So this is, the gift shop will be within the existing building, so you can see the different treatment of the roof here. This is the existing roof structure. And so we're kind of keeping elements of that, but creating this large opening that opens into the new portion of the visitor center. And this will have a lot of new, wood fixtures for the retail elements, as well as this coffee bar in the back here. So we're, envisioning a very light-filled and natural material-filled space that will, provide a lot of warmth and ability to have host different sorts of activities. And actually, just a couple more slides of that. So if I walk through the day-to-day program of this space, but we're also thinking about how that can transform when there are events such as a large presentation. The reception desk will be this modular and mobile element that can transform into a bar. All of the tables and chairs are folding elements, so they can be reconfigured easily. And we're integrating kind of display screens that can host this sort of presentations in multiple areas of this lobby space. And also, more kind of banquet style events could also be easily hosted within here. Yeah, so that's it. We're really excited as how this is taking shape, and I'll hand it over to Joe, who can talk us through some of the construction progress.
Thanks, Basar. And Anna, thank you. I can speak for all of us in LeChase that we're very proud to be part of this project. We're proud to be part of a project that's so important to the community. And Matt and Basar, thank you guys. It's certainly been a pleasure working with both of your teams, and I'm excited to see this project come together in the upcoming months. I'll share my screen and we'll give you everybody an update. So today I have a lot of photos of the progress that we made on site. Now, we started approximately a couple of months ago, right before the winter. So that was a challenge we knew we were going to come into, starting the project, coming through the winter months in Buffalo, which I think we've been pretty successful at maneuvering so far. So far, the project is moving through demolition. We're about 95% complete. We're actually wrapping up the demolition this week and are planning to start foundations in early March. Hopefully this foot of snow melts here soon, and we can start putting a shovel on the ground and getting ready for the concrete walls late March, and hopefully structural steel in May. And we'll get to see the building really come together and take shape at that point. So here are the photos of the building when we started. This is the picture that Anna had really shown earlier. This is what everyone's used to seeing when they approach the property, the initial gift shop and pavilion. And here's some photos of kind of basically our starting point. And as we progressed in the demo, we really gutted the entire building. It wasn't the largest building, but a whole lot of material came out of there. And it took some time, but it was exciting to see it come together and eventually reach a shell. So you see on the left, that's what when we're done with the interior demo, that's the initial concrete block structure that Basar was referring to. From then, we moved into basically creating the skeleton for the expansion to tie into. So you'll see in the middle picture, we are removing the large part of the building. We got some structural shoring that was installed, and a large beam that's being installed to carry the weight of the existing roof structure and making that space for the expansion to tie into. So as you saw into the renderings where Basar showed from the outside, looking through the space, you're looking through the expansion and looking into the space that you're actually seeing here in the center. That block wall is removed. You're looking into the back of the gift shop there. And on the right, you'll see new window openings that are being created, and actually a window opening that's going to be filled in, which you'll see in the center picture. So now that the existing skeleton's kind of coming together, you've got new openings, you start to see and get a feel for the layout of the building. So it's been good to see it come together and start prepare for the expansion to take place. We were fortunate enough to get a jump on site work before the wind and the snow and the wind started picking up, and became a little more difficult at this point. You'll see in the upper left-hand corner, we were starting utility installation. So we were able to get shovels in the ground and start getting sanitary lines and storm lines in the ground, and initial site layout and prep for all the final grading and the new grading of the whole facility in general. And we were able to salvage and relocate this historical pump as part of the future design. It's a historical component to the property. We were able to salvage that, and it will be utilized in the final product of the property. With tours kicking back up here really in a few weeks, Anna, we had to prepare for temporary measures such as temporary parking and handicap and temporary parking for staff. We were able to get all that done and prepared for tours to start here in a couple of weeks. So we're fortunate to beat the weather on these items and prepare for tours to start back up. I think you've probably seen a theme throughout the pictures. There's snow in every picture. It's been the biggest challenge is working through the winter. We've had as much as 3 feet of snow on site at different times over the last couple of months. But we planned for that as part of the design team and working with Graycliff, and we were prepared to deal with the winter. We have been using temporary enclosures, poly and scaffolding. You'll see we've got everything wrapped up on site to allow for construction to progress and get as much done as we can through these winter months and prepare to really get everything moving forward as soon as the weather breaks. So we were actually very successful in doing that. We've had some slow goes battling the winter, but we actually are in a very good position as soon as the snow breaks to start with footers, start to see that expansion. We took advantage of the time, we procured materials, and it will be exciting over the next 3 to 4 months to really see this project come together. And I'm sure Anna and the whole team, we're all excited to show that progress when we're really coming out of the ground and you start to see the design team's vision really become something in real life. So that was quick. It's there's only a couple months worth of progress. I am certainly excited to share more photos. I'm sure the whole team is over the next probably month to 2 months. You really start seeing things come out of the ground.
Thanks so much, Joe. And thank you, Matt and Basar. I think it's definitely worth mentioning that Graycliff leadership felt very strongly that this not just be any building. We could have easily put up a fully functional, floor, walls, ceiling that would accommodate all of our needs. But that's not what's happening here. Instead, this was not an easy task to create a beautiful building that is in reverence to Wright and his vision, and also properly showcases the historic houses without overshadowing them. So we are very thrilled with this design and so incredibly excited about our future. We hope that you all come and see us in 2026, whether it's for a tour or a program, event, or just to grab a cup of coffee and enjoy the building. But please don't wait. We are still, again, open for tours. We'd love for you to come visit us, see the progress, take a tour. And we are running a membership promo at the moment where if you commit to 2 years, 2025 and 2026, you'll see us through this construction. You'll be the first to be invited to all the Centennial celebrating in 2026. And if you commit to those 2 years now, you'll save 25%, which is the equivalent of 6 months of membership. So we'd love to have you. We really appreciate your support. Thanks again to HHL and SITU and LeChase and everyone who tuned in. And please stay in touch. Follow along on Instagram, Facebook, and visit our website, experiencegraycliff.org. And have a great night.